Lightspeed LEGO review number 81, set 75402. Finally, after a 15-year wait, we have ourselves a new ARC-170, and a pretty decent one at that. And with only a couple of relatively small changes, it could have easily been the best one to date. My biggest gripe with it being the pathetic size of the main weapons. Like, what were they thinking? The smaller barrels being replaced by spring-loaded shooters though, I don't mind that much. The wings of the model are also way too short, but not nearly as distractingly as the guns. And, luckily for you, I've made a fix to both of these issues, link in the description. I might even make a video on it, we'll see. One thing that is not an issue with the wings, however, is the Sfoil function. Oh, it's so satisfying. Simply tap this technic lift arm and boom, open immediately. Same thing when retracting. You have no idea how many times I've just picked this thing up and fiddled with the Sfoils. Honestly, it's a nearly perfect mechanism and much better than the sluggish gear system of the past two models. The only slight problem I have with it is how obviously out of place the activator is, but since it's out of sight from most angles, it's not that big a deal. The rest of the model is also really good. The engine inlets are maybe a little questionable, but they work fine enough. The rear cannons are also too small, but not as egregious as the main weapons. I've also seen some criticism of the nose being too short, which I frankly don't understand at all. The nose of the 170 is just not that long, it's not an X-wing. Each cockpit can of course be easily accessed and has plenty of space for each pilot. Here we also have our astromech socket. The cockpits all are unfortunately stickered, and the opacity of the white paint is not quite up to snuff. Speaking of stickers, the insignias on the Sfoils really should have been printed as well, since they're multiple use. Something they fortunately did do for the tips. And now for the figures, which we have the return of the three pilots. Thank the Lord. Kit Fisto was a cool figure, but his inclusion in the last set made literally zero sense. The pilots have been given all new prints and are identical besides their helmets, which are using the exact same mold from 15 years ago. The only gripe I have with these guys is that they could have easily been given dual molded legs, and LEGO just chose not to. At least the print quality is really good, and the lack of dual molding is not that distracting. The helmet prints are also all fantastic, with the guy in blue being Captain Jag, whom we also saw in the last model, the clone with the small yellow details being Commander Oddball in his first LEGO appearance, though the other pilot figure from the last model is fairly similar, and lastly we have our unnamed clone pilot, who's very familiar to the pilot found in the often forgotten microfighter. The astromech droid included is also the return of familiar face, R4P44, also last seen in the previous set. Unfortunately, it appears LEGO has once again forgotten they started doing backprints for astromechs. Very disappointing, but he is great otherwise. Overall, this is a really strong set with an amazing play feature and only a couple of proportional problems. The figure selection is also easily the best one to date, and with the cost of $20 retail, it's the least bad deal of the January wave. Yikes. I would have loved to see this at $60, but I'm honestly not that offended by the retail price. 8 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts below, and like and subscribe for more.